Welcome to Friends in Fiction, 5 best-selling authors, endless stories. Novelists Mary Kay Andrews, Kristen Harmel, Christy Woodson Harvey, Patty Callahan Henry, and Mary Alice Monroe are 5 longtime friends with more than 80 published books to their credit. In 2020, they created Friends in Fiction to provide author interviews and fascinating insider talk about publishing and writing, and to highlight independent bookstores. These friends discuss the books they've written, the books they're reading now, and the art of storytelling. If you love books and you're curious about the writing world, you're in the right place. Welcome! It's Wednesday night, and it's Friends in Fiction. Tonight, we welcome a very special guest, Chris Bohjalian. Chris is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of 22 books, and tonight we'll be discussing the soon-to-be-released Hour of the Witch, the historical thriller set against America's original witch hunt, and we're all very excited to talk to him soon. I'm Mary Alice Monroe.
And I'm Mary Kay Andrews.
I'm Kristen Harmel.
I'm Christy Woodson Harvey.
I'm Patty Callahan Henry.
We are starting the show with a huge, exciting bit of news. So exciting. Our own darling, beloved Christy Harvey's new book, Under the Southern Sky, hit the New York Times today. Woohoo!
I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for all your help. And thank you everybody else for effort. Thank you for guys. Cheers to all of you.
Cheers.
We had to bring Meg and Sean on to celebrate with you.
Because they are the team.
And we have our Friends in Fiction flutes. Wait, where are
Yes, that Christy.
Yes.
We're so happy. This is a big news for all of us because, this is her first time on the list, and that is the first time. It's the best. So thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank y'all so much.
Congratulations, my friend.
Thank y'all.
Well, we've been celebrating Friends in Fiction birthday all month with gifts for you. And tonight we're offering our final birthday giveaway. So far, we've given away a custom reading lamp from Barn Light Electric, a Caroline's cake, coffee from Charleston Coffee Roasters, and a variety of cookies and our favorite cheese straws from Mama G's. And congrats to our 3 winners. And tonight, this week, we have a 3-month subscription from our partner, Page One Books. And it's up for grabs, plus one of our most coveted FNF Friends in Fiction jute bags. So who will be the lucky winner? Be sure to enter by this Sunday, May 2nd, and the winner will be revealed on Monday, May 3rd. All right.
Now, we appreciate all of our sponsors, including Page One Books, where you can also use that same code, FAB5, to get 10% off your new gift subscription. And, that's what Page One does, book subscriptions. Awesome, hand-picked, personalized book subscriptions from an independent bookstore, sent right to you or to whoever you buy it for. If you like to read, this is a great way to be surprised by new gift wrap books mailed to your door each month. And the packaging, I have to say, is just beautiful. It makes a great gift.
Mm-hmm. We also want to thank our partner, Mama Geraldine's. If you saw me on tour or you're going to see Mary Kay on tour the next couple of weeks, you might have just had some Mama Geraldine's, although we hope that you've had them before. But they are the most amazing cheese straws and cookies, and we've heard from so many of you that you love them too. You can order at mamageraldines.com, and you get a 20% discount with the code FAB5.
That sounded so New York Times bestsellery. I just can't even get over it.
I think I agree.
I agree.
Before we get started for our regular show, we have something really special to show you tonight. We have enjoyed viewing the book trailers so far for Patty, Christy, and Mary Kay. And tonight we're excited to see the beautiful trailer for Mary Alice's The Summer of Lost and Found, which will be out May 11th. Sean, can we take a look?
Yay!
I love it. It shows a little bit of everything that's in the book, but this is what a good trailer should do. I'm so
beautiful.
excited. Thank you. I have a special gift for all of you who pre-ordered tonight. And you know how I am a big advocate of non-plastic straws. Just don't use them. So I've been looking everywhere for the perfect metal straw, and I think I found it. Sean, I think we have a picture of it up here. I wish I had one to show you. It telescopes, and you have look at that cute case. It has Friends in Fiction on it, and a little straw to clean your metal straw. And I love the silicone tip, because when you drink from a metal straw, it doesn't make your mouth cold, and it's soft. So you can put it all in your little case and pop it in your purse. And anyone who orders or pre-orders The Summer of Lost and Found from the Vermont Bookshop tonight will get this as a thank you. I hope y'all enjoy it.
Well, I cannot wait to get mine, Mary Alice. Each week, one of us writes an essay for Parade Magazine. And this week, Mary Alice Monroe wrote an essay called The Year of Lost and Found. In the essay, Mary Alice tells us how she is researching how to hit the refresh button on her body, how to release the anxiety, drop bad habits, and get back into high gear. Sounds like something that we could all really use a little bit of. That makes me wonder what we're all doing to hit the refresh button after the past year of Lost and Found. So you can drop it in the comments if you want to tell us how you're refreshing. You can also go to parade.com to read Mary Alice's and all of our essays on life's takeaways.
And as you know, we have had a bounty of riches this spring with 4 of us total since from March until Mary Alice's book comes out, all with new books out this year. And did you know that in the publishing world, the paperback of a hardcover comes out about a year afterwards, which means we also have the paperback news for you. Starting this week, the paperback of Mary Kay Andrews' Pandemic hardcover. Hello Summer is out in paperback. So
I love that cover so much.
The cover's so good.
It is.
I love that cover.
Perfect. And it was such a good book. Yeah, if you don't have it yet. Yeah,
I kept saying it was my favorite MKA, but now it's the newcomer for sure.
Oh,
I know, but we still have a whole week until the newcomer comes out. So if you need your MKA fix in the meantime, I feel like this is
right. If you want to see any more pictures of that beach cottage, you better be pre-ordering that book.
That's my favorite thing in the world. I told my mom that today, and she was like, "That's the funniest thing I've ever heard," and it's brilliant. I was like, "It's working. It's bribery and
extortion."
It's
I'm okay with it.
I'm going to have to get myself a beach cottage before my book comes out in July.
I know. Well, we'll figure it out.
Anyway, the newcomer will be out next week, and nobody gets to see any beach cottage pictures until I start seeing some pre-orders roll through. But Hello Summer I think it's a good paperback to grab while you're waiting. It has all the Florida beach vibes, and it fits in your beach bag, and it's, it has a lot of my DNA because it takes place at a small town, beach town newspaper. And I actually got my start in newspapering at a very teeny newspapers back in the day. So I hope you'll go out and get it.
So good.
Absolutely.
It's perfect to put in the beach bag right along with Christy's sunglasses and my little straw. You're all set. We've got you covered here.
Right.
Friends in Fiction. And I love the new cover. And we also love the after show. Be sure to hang in there, everybody, because tonight we are talking about the release of Reunion Beach, which is an anthology of stories, essays, and poems that celebrate the life of Dorothea Benton Frank and her abiding love of the Low Country. Patty and I each wrote a short story for this anthology, and we'll talk about these later in the after show. But now we are here to celebrate the work of a remarkable author that all of us love and admire. Chris Bohjalian, the #1 New York Times bestselling author of 22 novels, each of them as unique and memorable as his newest, Hour of the Witch. This is a novel of historical suspense set in 1662 Boston with a divorce trial that ends up in a witch trial. His 2018 novel, The Flight Attendant, debuted as a New York Times USA Today bestseller, Wall Street Journal, Publishers Weekly, National Indie Bound bestseller. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And The Flight Attendant is an 8-hour HBO Max limited series starring Kelly Cuoco.
His novels Secrets of Eden, Midwives, and Past the Bleachers were made into movies, and his work has been translated into more than 35 languages. He's also a playwright.
He is widely respected in his field and with his peers. He has one of the best reputations, author to author, and for his readers. He has a huge list of awards, including the Walter Cerf Medal for Outstanding Achievement in the Arts, the ANCA Freedom Award, the ANCA Arts and Letters Award, and the New England Society Book Award.
His novel Midwives was a #1 New York Times bestseller. It was a selection of Oprah's book club. And today it's considered a modern classic, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, Chris lives in Vermont with his wife, a place or a person he calls a source of his inspiration. He's hard at work on his next novel, The Lions of Hollywood. Can't wait to hear about that.
That's amazing.
I know. I already want to get it. And we know it's going to be another bestseller. But now we're excited to talk about Chris's new book to be released next week. And no doubt this too will be a huge bestseller, Hour of the Witch. Let's welcome Chris Bohjalian.
Thank you.
Hi, Chris.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you. That introduction was just over the top, but I've got to raise my glass also to Christy and the New York Times bestseller,
Thank you.
Under the Southern Sky, making the hardest list in the world. Congratulations, Christy.
We're
Well
very
done.
proud.
Thank you, Chris. That's so kind of you. Thank you. This is why everyone
Fantastic.
loves him.
I
And we do too. And everyone tonight is going to fall in love with Chris as well.
Yes.
So welcome. And we've been looking forward to having you on our program for ages. And we're especially excited that you're coming right before the debut of your next novel. That's just the best. I have to ask you, after 22 novels, Chris, do you still get excited?
I do. The thrill never wears off. You get, the first 1 or 2 books that your editor sends you, and you look at it and you kind of hold it in your hands and you think to yourself, wow, son of a gun. It's a
It's
book.
a thing.
And then of course you
Yeah.
think to yourself, how many sentences in here do I wish I could rewrite?
Always.
Well, we all can say we loved it. And so I just want to ask you, for those who might not have read the book yet, because it's only out next week, can you give us a quick summary, Chris, of the story?
Sure. 1662 Boston. Satan is as real as your neighbor. It was inspired by the first divorce in North America for domestic violence. And yes, America's first witch hunt. I love it when readers say things like, "It's the Crucible meets The Handmaid's Tale."
Wow.
It's the nexus of
Oh,
adultery,
yeah, I see
divorce,
that.
and witchcraft.
No, I do see that too. I honestly thought when I looked at it, the title, it was all about the Salem witch trials, but it precedes it, which is really
It does.
a surprise.
And that's a perfectly natural place to go. I mean, okay. The first time I went to Salem, the docent tells the worst joke ever. He says, "So, how many witches did we burn in Salem?" Answer, 0. We hanged them. Whenever we think of witchcraft in America, we go to Salem in 1692. But the reality is America's first real witch hunt was 30 years earlier. Hartford, 1662. In 1656, the governor of Massachusetts had his own sister-in-law hanged as a witch.
Wow. How
Wow.
heartless. I mean, that's just unbelievable and heartless. And you showed a lot of that in the story. You really did.
It would suck to be a I mean, not that it's great to be a woman in 2021. It
Really
is
sucks.
to be a woman in
1662.
1662.
Better today. Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say.
I mean, there's a moment in the novel when Mary Deerfield, my heroine, is standing before Boston's all-male court of assistants, pleading her case. And one of the magistrates, does his best Tucker Carlson and calls her a nasty woman. And I know that reference will not be lost on modern readers.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, wow. Well, that's what makes it such a great story. And this is a novel I know we're all out there going to read.
And
Thank
all of you out there can get a personalized signed copy of Hour of the Witch for 10% off tonight at our highlighted independent bookstore, which Chris chose, called the Vermont Bookshop, with the code FF10. And before we dive even deeper into this story, Chris, tell us why you chose this bookstore.
I could have chosen a lot of bookstores I love.
Yeah.
I love the Vermont Bookshop for 3 reasons. One, everyone who works there is a delight. They are so kind and so smart. Number 2, Robert Frost used to sit in the leather chair in the front and pick all of the books he'd chosen and browse. And number 3,
So cool.
it's a 15-minute bike ride from my house. So 6 months a year, I just bike there all the time and personalize books for readers across America.
Oh,
That's
that's
great.
amazing.
That's
It sounds like
amazing.
such a great place.
Well,
and
road
it sounds
trip.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
road trip. Bring your bikes, everyone.
Yep.
And it sounds, Chris, like you're going to be personalizing these books, right? So if somebody orders from the Vermont Bookshop tonight or this week, they'll be able to get a book signed by you.
Yes, absolutely. I will
Such a deal.
bike there in the next couple days and write the books and inscribe them to whoever would like them inscribed.
That's amazing.
And I sign.
Are you kidding?
I'm not proud. I sign.
Honestly, Chris, personalized, I'm first in line. I'm ordering from the Vermont Bookshop. I already read it, but I want your personalized copy.
Yeah.
All right. And by the way, you have me with Robert Frost. Okay. So let's dive into the discussion of this page Turner historical novel. There's a lot to unpack. And Chris, what we do is we'll ask our questions and then we give the audience a chance. So remember out there, all of you, if you want to ask Chris a question, please put it into the feed and we'll do our best to get them for you. So Patty, why don't you ask the first question?
So Chris, I'm always endlessly fascinated about the origin stories for novels. I think those are as interesting as the novels themselves. And so many times during the reading of this book, I wanted to ask you why this time and this story. I know I wrote to you the minute I finished it. It takes place, like you said, in 1662. And the opening line is one of the best opening lines I've ever read. It was always possible that the devil was present.
I love it.
Chills, right? And it hit me how very much that this idea was about the start of the witch hunts, that the devil was always lurking around. Satan was luring women to his side. And even something as innocent as a fork could have the town talking about you as evil. So I want to know about the origin. How did you come upon this information and what drew you to write on this subject matter?
Sure. First of all, Patty, I have to tell you, I loved Surviving Savannah. I thought Mrs. Lewis was always going to be my favorite Patty Callahan book, but Surviving Savannah is even better. It's just great. So thank you for that gift.
Thank
We
you.
agree.
The origins of Hour of the Witch. I've always been fascinated by Puritan theology, going all the way back to college. Imagine a world where Satan is as real as your neighbor, and not church lady Satan, not, well, isn't that special? Real Satan.
Yeah.
Imagine a
Satan.
world where you're constantly wondering, am I saved or
Yeah.
damned?
Yeah.
How do you make sense of a world that is so consistently and seemingly inexplicably horrible?
Yeah.
So, this particular book had been gestating on some level since college.
Wow.
I came across a couple years ago in 1672, not 1662, an obscure 3-line reference in Boston's Court of Assistants. Elizabeth Nanny Naylor successfully sued her husband Edward for divorce
Wow.
on the grounds of cruelty.
Mhm.
And I did a deep dive into Puritan divorce.
Mhm.
And I learned
I have
2 things
chills.
that surprised me.
Yeah.
First of all,
Mhm.
marriage was a civil ceremony for the Puritans, and 31 couples divorced between 1630 and 1692.
Wow.
And there were 5 reasons why a woman could divorce her husband: desertion, polygamy, adultery, and you'll love this when you think of the Puritans, impotence, and cruelty.
Cruelty.
Mhm.
Of those 31 divorces, 1 was for impotence, which is a story in and of itself,
That's
Sure,
another
there's a
book.
novel.
and
Yeah, there's a
one
novel.
and 1 was for cruelty.
Mm.
And
Must have been bad.
Edward Taylor, the man who was divorced, he was a real piece of work. And the other thing I learned was this: the Puritans didn't use forks.
There it
The,
is.
the 3-tined forks,
The
1, 2,
3-tined
3,
fork.
looked too much like the
Devil's pitchfork.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
right.
a devil's time.
Yeah.
So
So
the
glad you showed it.
Puritans had, by any objective standard, atrocious table manners. They weren't using forks.
Hilarious.
They drank beer like it was spring break in Miami. And
Which might explain a lot.
they didn't use trenchers. They didn't use plates most of the time. They used trenchers that 2 or 3 people would share. So you've got 2 or 3 people eating like pigs out of a trough without forks, drunk on beer. I would love to have been a fly on the wall.
Oh my
Amazing.
God.
Amazing.
That's
Oh,
so
wow.
vivid. No wonder it's such a great story. The details, the details.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. The whole time I was reading it, I was thinking, what made him interested in this? Because sometimes the seed is planted by someone says something, and sometimes it's been simmering and simmering.
Yeah.
And it sounds like this was simmering. So.
I have such a long collection, such a big library of Puritan books I've had since college.
Wow.
You know, here's the other thing worth noting. Among the 3 poets I love best is Anne Bradstreet, 17th century
Yeah.
Puritan
Mhm.
poet.
Wow.
Her work is so beautiful. And it reminds us that the Puritans' internal lives were as complex as ours. Her poems are these magnificent, lovely poems about the death of a grandchild, the day her library burned to the ground, and her own doubts about her faith.
Wow.
Mhm.
Sounds like there's
So
some more
relevant.
books in there, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really. Well, and on that note, though Hour of the Witch is set in the 1600s, Mary Deerfield's story resonates today. You touch on the impact of religion, gender, society on our personal lives, and conjuring up specters of Me Too recriminations and social media shaming. Mary Deerfield, even in 1662, is a feminist. She's proud of her intelligence, and her husband dismissed her as white meat. But you reveal how frightening it was just to be born an intelligent woman. I can't talk, y'all. I'm sorry. Intelligent woman in this period. Subjugation to husband, church, community was the rule. So can you talk about how you set up this historical novel that explores such contemporary feminine issues? It's so relevant today. And were there any moral lessons that you were trying to convey?
You're speaking just fine, but it doesn't matter if you're not, because you're debuting on the New York Times bestseller list. You can speak any way you want.
With
Any way
forked
you want.
tongues. With forked
So
tongues.
excited.
I wanted to walk a tightrope. I wanted the book to feel and to be historically authentic in every way.
Yeah.
I mean, thee, thou, thine, prithee. My rhythmic touchstones were Anne Bradstreet and the King James Bible.
Oh.
Wow.
That was the voice I was after.
Wow.
But I also wanted the book to be weirdly, importantly, timely.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the ironies to Mary Deerfield's life and to any woman's life in the 17th century is you have these men who are doctors, who are burning toads and using straw to put the ashes up a patient's nose to cure him, who are bleeding their patients. And then you have women and midwives who are using herbs and salves and are figuring out that herbal remedies are better than bleeding some guy who's ill.
Yeah.
There's no coincidence that if you wanted to be hanged as a witch, here's what you needed to be: smart, strong, and opinionated.
Yeah.
Here's
I'm
a
dead.
patriarchy. All five of you are
We're goners.
Yeah, we're out.
Christians, you're
We're
gone.
out.
I mean,
Dismissed
the
woman.
Puritans came to North America with visions of building a city on a hill. Instead, they started the genocide of the indigenous people,
Yeah.
and they continued the ritualized subjugation of women.
Yeah.
And
Children.
that's what's so powerful today and why it's so relevant
Yeah.
to see, because the kind of the silencing of women is happening today.
Yes, perfectly put. The silencing of women. It's no surprise that among the first women not hanged, but excommunicated and exiled is Anne Hutchinson. Free-thinking antinomian midwife who is sent into the wilds of Rhode Island because the Massachusetts Bay Colony wants nothing to do with a smart, strong, opinionated woman.
Wow.
And I love the way you brought her in. Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, that kind of leads me right into the question I had. Chris, Booklist wrote in its starred review of Hour of the Witch, throughout Bohjalian's prolific career, he's rewarded readers with indelibly drawn female protagonists. I think we've all noticed that.
You know, the
books
same could be
frequently.
said that, Mary Kay, about every book you've written.
Yeah.
True.
But, you know, I don't write. It's interesting because not a lot of contemporary authors who write commercial fiction, which is what we do, not a lot of those of male authors know how to write believable, strong, interesting, memorable female protagonists. And you know how to do that. What draws you to write to such strong and memorable female protagonists? Now, I know that you've got a wife and daughter, I think you've said, who are kind of an inspiration for you. Would you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I have 3 readers who are so important to me. My lovely bride, Victoria Bluer, has read every single word I've written. since we were 18 years old.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
Everywhere.
I love that. I love
And
that.
she's a really great reader. I mean, I remember she once said to me, when apparently I wasn't taking some criticism well, she said, wouldn't you rather hear it from me than the New York Times?
Oh,
And she's
Yeah.
right. And I depend on our daughter, Grace Experience, who has now narrated all or parts of
Amazing.
5 of my books and
Wow.
has been reading my books since she was in 8th grade and giving me advice. She's so astute. And I depend on my editor, Jenny Jackson at Penguin Random House, who's so much smarter than I am. Another thing I'll tell you is this, and I don't know if I've ever told anyone this.
It's a secret.
Here is leaning
when my-
in. We're all leaning in.
Oh my God.
Yes.
When my dad was dying, the last year of his life,
Right.
I was flying to Florida every 3 weeks for a year. I was probably there 15 or 16 times.
Right.
And my aunt, his sister, said to me on one of those visits, Jesus Christ, thank God you're the daughter he never had. And it was, it was a compliment.
It was
Yeah,
the
of
highest
course.
compliment. The highest. The highest.
Mm,
yeah.
yeah, that's
So nice.
amazing. So, Chris, you're also known for just the daunting amount of research you do, which fascinates me because I have that tendency. I write historical fiction. I have that
Yeah, you do.
tendency to go down the research rabbit hole. And it's sometimes hard when you go down that rabbit hole to kind of figure out what you're going to put into your novel and what's just going to be something that you hold in the back of your mind that helps shape those characters and helps shape that world. But if you balance that research with a powerful story, I think it's those details you uncover
Yeah.
that, that really make the story sing if you're doing it right. And obviously you're doing it right, which is perhaps the understatement of the evening. So I would love to hear you talk. I mean, it was so interesting to hear that that this story and the idea for this story has been with you for so long. But can you talk a little bit about what you did to color in this world so vividly, and also to make this story that was set in the past and set so strongly in the past, what you did to make it so so vibrant and accessible for us today? I mean, it was very much a story of the past, but very much a story with modern threads to it.
Thank you. And yes, you know as well as anyone how a little research goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things you need to be careful about is not showing off. It's not
true.
showing off.
Or jumping. Yeah.
Look at how much I know about
Yeah.
1662 Boston.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
no one needs to know the details of chamber pots. So you pick and choose.
Yeah.
I got an email the other day that
Yeah.
I think really nailed it. This reader wrote, coat pegs. They didn't have hangers in closets, did they?
Yeah.
I'd never thought of that. They hung their capes and coats
Yeah.
on pegs.
Yeah.
And I just came across that in a book on the architecture of a 17th century Boston home. And there are no closets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There are no hangers, there are pegs. And I just love that. I came across a book on the construction of the Boston townhouse or courthouse
Mm.
in the late 1650s. And this was sort of like building the Empire State Building in the 1930s. This was a big deal,
Yeah.
but it was so basic.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest deals, the quill room. The room
No
where the
way.
magistrates can
What's
go
it?
with their quills.
Wow.
Oh my
Awesome.
God, a room for the desk and quills is a big deal. I just loved it.
What great details.
Is that what surprised you the most? Or is there any? Was that
No,
one
what
of the big
surprised me the most
What?
were the details of their eating. I talked
Oh,
about
yeah,
the
the
table
trough.
manners.
I have to admit,
But
I'm surprised too. Yeah.
But I mean, here's the thing about what they ate. When we think of Thanksgiving, we think of turkeys. Well, the first Thanksgiving had 3 wild birds. And we don't even know if they were turkeys.
Huh.
In Boston in the 1630s, the Puritans ate lobster like bologna.
Like now.
Really?
I mean, the lobsters
Makes
were
sense.
2.5 pounds. You go
Wow.
into Back Bay and you just pull one out of the water. And,
Wow.
you know, it was just crap food. And it's what they lived on. The amount of lobster they ate. And they're not eating with forks. I mean, just imagine what a disaster it was.
Oh my gosh.
It was a
Crack a lobster across your neighbor's head. Here, have some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have some.
I feel like you're describing Christy's life now that she's a New York Times bestseller, like just lobster all the time.
It's like lobster, caviar. I mean, it's just, you know, I've
Champagne.
been a New York Times bestseller for 2 hours now, and it's just changed me completely.
We can tell. We can tell.
It's a good feeling, isn't it? It's this
It is.
great.
Yes,
It's a great. I mean, it's a great validation.
Yeah.
I will never forget the first time I was on the list. I turned to
was
my
that?
wife and I said, "Does this mean that my mom is finally going to stop sending me law school applications?"
Awesome.
Chris, what book
awesome.
was that?
Yeah.
What was your first New York Times hit?
Midwives.
It was
Weirdly enough,
Midwives.
it was pre-Oprah. I mean,
Yeah.
the book became a bestseller
Okay.
in August.
Okay.
You know, so I don't know, it was like 13 or 14.
Okay.
Lasted a week or two.
Yeah.
You know, and then fell off the list. And then 4 months later, Oprah picked it, and it's back on the list. And because it's Oprah, thank you, Oprah. You know, it isn't
Yeah.
13, it's 1.
Yeah.
Talk
Incredible.
about
What
a
an
moment.
experience.
I mean,
And then
oh
a
my
movie.
gosh.
And
Yeah.
then a movie.
And then a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
That's
with
awesome.
Sissy Spacek, no less. So that was
And Alison Pill, who would go on to, you know, just crush it in the newsroom and just so many movies and on Broadway with 3 women.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Well, I am going to go now in a little different direction because, and a more serious tone now. But this past week, you know, how President Biden acknowledged the tragic genocide of Armenians 106 years ago. Finally, it was acknowledged. And I thought it was timely tonight to bring up a very important book of yours, Sandcastle Girls. And for those of you who haven't read it, this is the really heartbreaking story of the relatively unknown Armenian genocide. And you've said that this was the best book you will ever write and the most important. And on writing it, you said, and I'm quoting you, "It has helped me to understand more about who I am, the geography of my soul." Wow. Can you elaborate on why this book was so important to you and how you feel in this past week of this amazing announcement?
I'm going to answer the second question first. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
The lack of recognition of the Armenian genocide is an open wound for Armenians.
Yeah.
It's a trauma. I'm a grandson of 2 survivors. There were 2 million Armenians living in the Ottoman Empire in 1915. By the end of the genocide, 1.5 million, or 3 out of every 4, would be dead.
Staggering numbers.
And until the last 15 years, it was all but forgotten.
Yeah.
Which is why I wrote the Sandcastle Girls, to try to do 2 things. Educate my readers to this precedent to the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Stephanie Iddig at the University of Jerusalem once said, "The Holocaust might have happened without the Armenian genocide, but the Armenian genocide made it dramatically more likely because Germany was an ally of the Ottoman Empire."
Wow.
The Germans were there, and the Germans were either saying, "This is horrible, it has to stop," or they were there like Rudolf Hess, the commandant of Auschwitz, who would say, "It was where I learned to kill." So
Oh,
the acknowledgement means so much.
Mhm. Yeah.
And why did I write the book? Yes, I wrote it as an education. And I wrote it for my grandparents who survived. I wrote it for all of the Bohjalians and Chud Indians who were killed. I have been back to I go back prior to the pandemic.
Mhm.
I would go to Armenia almost every year, but I've also been to Eastern Turkey, Anatolia, Cilicia, the Armenian homeland, 6 times. And that's where I really feel the geography of my soul. When I
Such
walk in a
beautiful
world
phrase.
of unmarked mass graves,
Yeah.
when I walk in a world of the ruins
Yeah.
of Armenian villages, Armenian churches, Armenian monasteries, when I meet the Kurds who live there now, who invite me into their fields and homes, and we share tea, and they will walk me deep past the goats and the cows, and all of a sudden they will show me the bricks and the walls that remain of an Armenian church, now ruins. I found the church in Kayseri, where my grandfather was baptized.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Lovely.
And as my
Very
wife
lovely.
said to me, as we're lighting a candle, because there are no Armenians left except in Istanbul. The Armenians have been ethnically cleansed. And as we're lighting a candle, and my wife said, "You realize, don't you? You're breathing the air your grandfather breathed here as an infant."
Wow.
How
So
powerful. That is your soul. Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
your DNA.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
That was, thank you for sharing that. That was very personal and we
Yeah.
appreciate it. That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I could talk about this for a long time. However, we have other questions, I know, Chris, that are coming. This is an amazing community and everyone has questions for you. Kathy or Mary Kay, why don't you ask the first one?
Yeah, Brenda Hoffmaster Spalding says, other than your own, is there a book that you wish you'd written?
that's an interesting
There are
question.
so many books that I wish I could have written. Oh my God, I finished Surviving Savannah and thinking to myself, this is the kind of book to read when I'm writing because it gives you an inferiority complex. You just need
Yes, that's exactly right.
talent in action. I mean, if you look at the library behind me, I mean, there are just so many books that
Yeah.
I would love to have written. I would love to have written, Viet Nguyen's new book, The Committed.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to have written Anne Lamott's Dusk, Night, Dawn. I would love to have written Toni Morrison's Beloved.
No,
It's a long list.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Well, Susan L. Carlson wants to know how you pick your writing projects. And she says that your books are all so different and diverse.
The book has to pass, I think, 2 kinds of litmus tests. It's such a good question. The first one, I figure out as I go along. Yeah. Am I excited to get to my desk in the morning to write it? If I'm not excited, my readers won't be.
Yeah.
And I will stop writing.
Yeah.
The other litmus test is this. When I first had the idea, did I think to myself, oh my gosh, I want to read that book. I want to hang out with that character or characters. Because I know that's the other thing. My books begin with a premise. That's it. Alcoholic flight attendant wakes up next to a dead body. Far
So
from
good.
home.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
And if I like the premise, I'm all in to begin it.
It's awesome. Is there a time period of history that you would love to write about, but you haven't found the right story yet?
Yes. Another great question. The 1920s.
I love the
Ah,
20s.
fun time, fun
Love it.
time.
Period
Yeah.
of
Yes.
liminal change. There
I
have been
want to
so
read
many
that
great
book.
books. Yeah, there have been so many great books set in the 1920s, including one of my favorite books of all time, The Great Gatsby.
The Great
Great
Gatsby.
Gatsby. I knew you were going to
So
bring that
great.
one up.
I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
thinking about
You know.
Fitzgerald too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just so, every time I think of, Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings or
I love
Ernest
her work.
Hemingway or Scott Fitzgerald, I just think to myself,
Yeah.
the
Great
1920s.
time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we have one more.
Yeah, I think that we'll see if we have any New York Times bestselling authors in the house who want to ask the next question. Any recent New York Times bestsellers?
Actually, there is one that someone is really dying to ask. So this is sort of switching gears because we have had such a deep and serious show here. But Chris, I met you at Southern Voices a few years ago, and you told the most hilarious story about something that happened to you in an airport that has still stuck with me all these years later. And could you please share that story? Because I think that our viewers would really like that.
I have no pride.
So great.
We like
I was
that in the
there. I
name.
heard the story. I
She
was there.
I was like,
It's
Patty
great.
was there. She heard the story.
I was there. I heard it.
Most people presume that book tours are glamorous.
Mhm.
You jet around the country and you hang around with Jenna Hager and Terry Gross and sell pallets of books. But the reality is that by day 14, you will have been on 17 regional jets
Yeah.
and reduced to wearing a strange man's underwear. I wish I could say I'm making that up. I'm not. It really happened to me on the Secrets of Eden book tour. See, on a book tour, your publisher wants to get you to as many cities as possible, as quickly as possible. So, Monday's Charleston, Tuesday Savannah, Wednesday Chicago, Thursday's Denver, Friday's LA. One night, one city.
Yeah.
But on the Secrets of Eden book tour, on day 14, I got to Minneapolis and I looked at my schedule and I saw I'm not checking out until Sunday. So the first thing I did was I sent out a Mini Cooper-sized pile of laundry.
Yes.
Did my
Yes.
Friday event,
Yes.
2 events Saturday. Get back to my hotel room Saturday night, and there in the bed are my shirts, which have been dry cleaned, and a box with my laundry. And I opened my suitcase on the floor, and I opened the box of laundry to pack, and in it are 14 pairs of underwear, not mine,
Oh
not a man's. It belonged to a very petite woman. Now, I've done this long enough to know that rule number 1 of a book tour is
Oh my God.
you never give the hotel all of your underwear. I still have 3 pairs.
Hilarious.
We're not in crisis mode. So Sunday morning,
Oh.
I'm checking out, and the laundry's closed because it's Sunday, the hotel. So I give the bellman these 14 pairs of women's underwear. And I said to him Monday, when the laundry opens, if you find my underwear, here is the hotel where I'm going to be in Orlando, Florida on Tuesday. And if you could send it by FedEx, I'd be grateful. And we both looked at each other like, yeah, that's going to
That
happen.
ain't happening.
Sure.
Not
Wink,
happening.
wink.
I check out,
My cheeks
fly to
are
Madison, do my events in Madison on Sunday, and it's
Commando.
great, And then Monday, and then Tuesday, I fly on to Orlando, and I get to my hotel, and when I'm checking in, the woman behind the counter says, Mr. Bohjalian, we have a Federal Express package for you from a hotel in Minneapolis. And I
No.
cradle it against my chest like it's my birthday. And I go to my hotel room and I open it up.
It's
And
not.
sure enough, in there are 14 pairs of underwear, not mine, but
They're
they're
men's, I hope.
man's.
hilarious.
Oh
They're
my gosh.
boxers. And I
Oh
was
my
grateful.
gosh.
And so I did the last
All
week
right.
of the Secrets of Eden book tour in a strange man's underwear. And I was so grateful.
That is the best that is it. That's going to go down in the annals of our
Amazing.
history. Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh my God. All right. Okay. I don't know how to go from A to B, but we're going to try. We love our writer's tips. So to go from underwear to writer's tips, only you could pull this off, Chris. Let's hear could you please give a writer's tip?
Yes. Number one.
Disappear. That's it. Like, that's how you do
I
it.
begin,
Wear someone else's underwear.
Oh,
yeah.
I begin
That's a good one.
with this dictionary. This
Yep, yep,
dictionary is one of those dictionaries that is so big. It sits on its own library pedestal in my library. The first thing I do every day is I go to that pedestal and I pick out 2 or 3 words I've never used before.
Wow.
Wow.
Noctivagant. Luminescent. I might not use them that day, but I'm going to try, because what all of us do is massage words, and words are beautiful.
Yes.
That's the
never
first
heard
tip.
I love
Read
I love that.
the dictionary.
that. Wow.
Tip number 2,
We get a bonus.
watch movie trailers. Those impeccably produced 2 and 3 minute trailers for movies or TV series, they instantly catapult me into a different world. I remember when I was writing The Guest Room, over and over I watched the trailers for Birdman, Cake, and Boyhood. Because each one put me in a place I needed to be to write that book.
I love
That's
that.
those are 2 that I've never heard before.
Me
Those are
neither.
really
I
brilliant.
love that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
no,
my
those
gosh.
are good.
Let's go
Well, I
watch
have
the
to-
trailer for The Flight Attendant. Let's
I
do
gotta
that.
say,
Exactly.
I'm really thrilled that you said that on the night my trailer came out. So
Yeah.
everyone, that's really great. I know we have a lot to unpack even yet. Chris, you did mention your 2 books that you wanted to. I'm just going to mention them again because we're kind of running low on time. We have a few things to get through, but you wanted to highlight, and maybe we could show the cover, Sean, for Dusk, Night, and Dawn by the one and only Anne Lamott. And you also mentioned a couple times a phenomenal book, The Committed, which is really wonderful. And we all have books we want to recommend that I think I just want to throw a highlight out to a woman who is Cy Montgomery, who is a remarkable author. Oh, thank you. Isn't she the best? She's one of there's only one Cy, and she's going to be on our show on the 16th. And her book, The Hummingbird's Gift, which I'll write about for the page later, is remarkable. And if you love hummingbirds like I do, you'll love this one. We have a few more questions. One more big question to ask you, but if you don't mind, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping first. So Patty, why don't you begin?
We want to remind y'all all about our podcast. So if you don't know yet, or you came tonight because of Chris and you don't know, we don't just have the show. The show becomes a podcast, and then we have extra podcasts. We have themed podcasts. We interview other authors. Next week, you will hear Mary Kay and I interview Jen Hart, who is the founder of the Blockbuster Book Club Girl. Mary Alice and Mary Kay talked with the one and only Zibby Owens, and that one just came out. And you can find us wherever you find podcasts.
We are also thrilled with everything that Lisa Harrison and Brenda Gardner are doing with the Friends in Fiction official book club. And there is a lot coming up. You guys, the 2 of them are so amazing. So this month they'll be reading, they're amazing. And I know, Christy, they just came and saw you live on your tour, which is so great.
I knew Lisa was going to be there, but I did not know Brenda was coming. And I was like talking, and it was not pretty. It was not pretty when she walked out. I was like, oh my God, it's Brenda. I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Seeing those pictures made me so happy. They've just been such a wonderful force for us. And I know they're reading Christie's Under the Southern Sky, her New York Times bestseller, this month. Yes.
Oh, is it?
Is it? We hadn't mentioned that.
Have we mentioned that?
So Christy will be joining them in mid-May to discuss her beautiful, beautiful book. So if you have questions for Christy about it, yeah, just in case we hadn't mentioned it. So also this Friday, the day after tomorrow, Mary Kay will be there for a special book club happy hour at 7:30 Eastern with our dear friend Ron Block. Exactly. With our dear friend Ron Block to talk about The Newcomer, which of course comes out next week. And Mary Alice will be joining the club the following Friday at 7 for a happy hour luau to celebrate the summer of Lost and Found. So all three of them will be taking your questions, and it's just a great time to join the book club if you haven't already and show up for all three of those events. It's going to be awesome.
I have a really big announcement tonight. So for the first time ever, Friends in Fiction is going to be live. We're going to be in my town of Beaufort, North Carolina on June 23rd for a noon luncheon. And at 7 p.m., we will be streaming our show with a live audience for the first time ever. So
Do we have to wear pants?
Yeah,
we have to. Yeah, now we have to wear
something.
pants.
I mean, it doesn't have to be pants. Like it could be like a very loose dress, like something that feels, a little more comfortable, but something.
Preferably underwear. After
Yes.
hearing that
You also
story.
have to brush
Someone's
the
underwear.
back of your hair. Not just
Yes, and your mask. And a mask. Exactly.
And
your mask.
Hard.
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't have to put on makeup. You don't have to put on makeup except from like here up.
Your
so that's a
eyes,
bonus.
Yeah.
We're real excited about that.
Yes,
really
we are very
I love
excited.
that.
We're very excited. Tickets are available from the Beaufort Historic site. I actually did an announcement about I did a post about it yesterday, but I will pin it in announcements so you can find the information. And again, we thank our partners, Mama Geraldine's and Page One book subscriptions. We adore them both, and use the code FAB5 for a discount on both websites.
And next week, May 5th, I'm excited because it's a big launch party for my new summer novel, The Newcomer. I hope you guys will be here at 7 p.m. Eastern. Our launch events are big deals around here. And I have no idea what you guys are cooking up. So I think it's probably going to involve some accessorization.
Mustaches, maybe? I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
Costumes.
We really couldn't say. We
can't say.
Well, it's
I can't
always
wait.
fun. Always fun, and you definitely don't want to miss it. Next week's show, because really, this is the launch of The Newcomer. Oh, so much news. And now, Patty, could you please ask Chris our final question?
Well, first, Chris, thank you for being so kind about
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is so great.
You've made me blush, and that's really hard to do. But one of the favorite questions that we love to ask authors, and I can't wait to hear your answer because of your background, but what were the values around reading and writing growing up in your family? Do you think they helped turn you into a writer at all? What were the values of your parents and your home around reading and writing?
Okay, first of all, books were king. My father, ironically, was a television producer. But
wow.
he read, and my mom was a voracious reader.
Okay.
And I'll tell you two things. First of all, my mother never cared when I drew the Starship Enterprise on the first edition cover of her edition of The Old Man and the Sea.
Oh, no.
Or
Oh,
when I
no.
colored in all of the leaves as if it were a Peter Max poster of her first edition of To Kill a Mockingbird. Secondly, stay tuned.
That is a good mother, because I'm telling you, I would have
I'm
been a
not
little
sure.
grumpy
Yeah.
about that one.
After my father died, when I was cleaning out his home, I came across a sweater box. And in the box were all of the short stories my parents had saved that I wrote in the third and fourth grade.
Oh,
And
that's
incredible.
So
I think it's
lovely.
amazing that my mother had saved them, then my father had saved them. And it's also really interesting. This is the oldest short story I ever wrote, still in existence. And it speaks volumes about what I would write as a grown-up. But the very last sentence of this short story is, "The dripping stopped, and the vultures had their meal.
Ew.
Okay. Enough said right there. You had the talent all over the place right away. Wow. The
Oh,
drip
gosh.
stopped. Well, thank
Oh.
you. Oh my gosh. That
Well,
is
That is amazing. So, you all out there, if you have fallen in love with Chris, as we all have in the
We
last
have.
hour, I mean, we all knew he was an incredible writer, but I'm so taken with him as a person too. And this has just been such a
Thank you.
pleasure. So if you all feel that way too, and I know you do, don't forget you can pick up a personalized and signed copy of his Hour of the Witch this week from the Vermont Bookshop. You can also order copies of all of our new and upcoming books, some of them New York Times bestsellers, just saying, at 10% off with the code FF10. And remember, if you order Mary Alice's upcoming The Summer of Lost and Found from the Vermont Bookshop tonight, you will also receive the handy reusable straw and case as a gift. But as always, it's just wonderful to support a great independent bookstore that's doing a great job in their community.
well, so often happens. The hour's a little over, and we still have so many questions. But Chris, this has been a joy. Thank you. You're just your props alone. I mean, you brought the fork, which was
From a
so great.
dictionary.
When y'all read the book, you're going to understand the power of that fork. That's pretty impressive. Thank you so much, Chris, for coming. And we're so excited for the launch of the Hour of the Witch next week. And
All of
please,
you are amazing. Thank you for what you do to celebrate what words and reading in books can mean to the soul.
Thank you. And you were a good sport
Thank
tonight. So thank you.
yes. And that's it for this week, everybody. And please hang in for the after show where we're going to be talking about Beach Reunion, the anthology that celebrates the life of Dorothea Benton Frank. Thank you all. Happy reading.
Thanks,
Bye,
Chris.
Good night.
Chris. Thank you, Chris. Thank
Good
you.
night, Chris.
Great.
Hope to see you soon.
Yeah.
Hope so. Congratulations.
Thank you for tuning in. Join us every week on Facebook or YouTube, where our live show airs every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And please subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram. We're so glad you're here. Good night. Wow, what a night.
Wow.
What a night.
So
We have
fun.
so much to celebrate. First of all, Chris was wonderful, but we have so many things. We have Christy making the New York Times, our end of our birthday month. The month is over. We hope we have a winner. We have Patty. We have Mary Kay's.
Thanks, Patty. You are the best.
It's really good. So it's just, we have so much to talk about tonight. But I have one more thing, and that is where I want to talk about this wonderful anthology that's coming, that's just debuting, Reunion Beach. It's the anthology that celebrates Dorothy Benton Frank. Patty and I have a story in it, but there's also poems and essays and lots of other information, memories that are included in this really beautiful tribute. So, you know, it's an amazing book, and it was very hard, Patty, don't you think, to write the story under the circumstances?
You know, so Reunion Beach, for those of you who don't know, was the brainchild of Dorothea Benton Frank's, Dottie's editor, named Carrie Farron. And when we were all trying to talk about, we were sitting at her funeral, actually, at her memorial service, at her house in Sullivan's Island, and talking about what could we do to honor her. And Pat Conroy had passed just the year before, and a book had been written where people wrote essays about him. And Carrie wanted to do something different than that. And she was talking about how Dottie already knew what her next book was going to be about when she passed. And it was going to be called Reunion Beach. And so the idea was to gather her writer pals and ask, and the only hold we had on it was that it had to be a reunion and it had to be on a beach. So, we each got to, it's Adriana Trigiani, Ellen Hildebrand's, Marjorie Wentworth wrote a poem, Cassandra King, Pat Conroy's widow, Gervase Haggerty, who has a debut coming out this year.
Yeah.
And I know I'm probably
And
forgetting.
mostly the family, right? For me, Peter, her husband, and her daughter Victoria, who is so vibrant, and of course Will, their memories were. Well, Victoria, she wrote the afterword, right, or the introduction, and I believe Peter wrote the afterword. It was so powerful and personal.
Yep. So y'all run out and get it. It came out yesterday. So,
it's so exciting.
Now, Patty, your short story is called The Bridesmaids. Tell us about that.
Oh, I'm going to make this quick. When one of the things Carrie told me was that Dottie in this book was going to be using birds of South Carolina, birds of prey, shorebirds, all the birds of South Carolina. And she actually sent me some things she had found in Dottie's office about birds.
Wow.
So my story is about a woman who is divorced, who is trying to decide whether to get married again to a man she loves, but marriage didn't go so well for her. So she gathers the bridesmaids and best friends from college to go to the beach with her to decide whether to get married. And the woman,
I love that.
Isn't that fun? And
I wish that was a whole novel, Patty.
Well, it needs to be, right?
Yeah.
And the woman who gathers her bridesmaids to decide whether to get married again, they each, of course, have their own thing going on. But the main woman, Beatrice is her name, is a painter of birds. And so she assigns each one of her friends to be
I like that part a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Oh, Ron.
I know.
Nice.
How about you, Mary Alice?
Nice.
Yours was Mother and Child Reunion.
Mother and Child Reunion, and this was my very first short story, and I think I prepped as hard for this or harder than a novel, because it was for me a new medium. And I have a cousin who had just met her mother, 40 years old, and she was released for adoption. And she had just met her birth mother. And I was so impressed by the emotions in the story of this mother-child reunion again at 40 years of age. And so I thought, this is a really beautiful story to tell, set on a beach. And I told it from the 2 points of view of the mother and anticipation. It's all building up to the moment. Because I thought to myself, I would be so nervous about meeting a mother who I'd never known for the first time. I didn't want, afterwards they get together, they talk, they fight, whatever. It's before. So from the mother's point of view, building up to it, and then the daughter's point of view. And what was really interesting, based on a true story, is there's a mental illness called Munchausen by proxy. And that's where the mother tries to make her child sick so she can take care of her. It's really weird stuff. And this had happened to my cousin. So I put this all in the story of how she overcame that. So here's mother on the Isle of Palms and daughter coming from Atlanta to that last moment. And it was, I think it's one of the best things I've ever written, which is amazing, because it was my first short story, but it was so full of emotion because of my cousin, and also because of Dottie, hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye. So I'd like to raise a toast for all of it. Here's a toast to Dorothea Benton Frank. For her memory, may it always live on in her stories. Cheers.
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 So, Mary Kay Andrews, how are you feeling with 6 days till pub? Can you talk to us about it?
Have you made any Target runs lately? Because I am ready. I like cannot wait. I'm already like plotting the videos that I'm going to be doing.
I'm plotting things I'm going to say on the show next week. Just you wait, Henry Higgins.
It's such a good book. Such a good book.
Just you wait until you'll be sorry, then your tears will be too late.
It'll be too late. You'll be broke and I'll have money.
Something funny. Just you wait.
You wait,
Henry Higgins, just you wait. You know, Mary Alice and Patty and I went to see My Fair Lady, Patty's favorite Broadway show. We saw the movie at a movie theater in
Bluffton.
In Bluffton one night, and that was so much fun. I'd forgotten so much about that movie. So yeah, I'm the main thing I'm trying to do is find clothes that I can get into for tour.
Honey, you and me both.
It's a pandemic. Like stretchy pants are just.
Don't even talk to me.
Yeah.
Don't even talk to me.
Well, I mean, I know I put on real pants tonight, but in fairness, I bought them yesterday.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
They were
Anyway.
not
I
pre-pandemic
bought them
pants.
yesterday in downtown Bluffton. You can ask Will; he was with me.
Yeah, so it's
pandemic one.
I gotta find some tour clothes. I'm gonna do some in-person events. Christy kind of paved the way
I was
for
like a
some of
bad
us
influence, so
to tiptoe out and do a mixture of in-person and virtual. And I've already messed up. Usually your publishing house plans your itinerary and your tour, and this year publishing houses said ixnay on the orte. So Meg is my publishing house this year. So I tried to do it and I messed it all up. And so I think we'll be traveling around Florida in a go-kart. I don't know.
It'll
That
work,
sounds
whatever
great.
you do. It'll
I mean,
work.
that'll make
I get to see you.
Are you going to meet up with us,
Yes,
Kristen?
I'll be there.
Okay, great.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, here's
So,
to a happy tour, and here's to getting clothes.
And my own underwear.
And your
I
own
thought that
underwear.
That was hilarious.
I thought that his writing tip was always going to be save back some underwear in your carry-on.
Or just
That's
wear
a good
2
one.
pairs. You get a backup. Exactly.
One time I was going, I don't know, maybe I was in Boston or someplace. I picked up someone else's bag at the carousel.
Did you really?
Oh, that's bad.
I did. It
I
looked
worry
exactly
about
like
that.
mine.
Yeah.
I got to my hotel, unzipped it and went, ugh.
Uh-oh.
Fortunately, whoever's bag I picked up, that was their home. So they weren't out on business.
Perfect.
So I called the airline. The airline called the other person. I said, please apologize to them for me. And my bag was still at baggage claim, and their bag was in my hotel
Especially
in
on book
downtown
tour,
Boston.
you can't let that happen.
That's the meet cute.
It's a
of my
nightmare.
2022 book.
Oh, that's a great hush.
Right.
I know, well,
That's
it's not giving away anything. It's not giving away anything.
Luggage.
Luggage thief.
Wait, it would have been
Kelly, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
Girls, I have to cut out only because we have a major, I'm in Mexico and we have to go. Carry on. Christy, woo-hoo, I'm so excited
you.
for you. I love you all.
Thank you.
And number eight, woohoo.
safe
Love
travels,
y'all.
Mary
That's
Alice.
with lipstick. Thank you. I'll see you all in stateside. I love you
Yes.
all.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
So what did your mom say, Christy? Was she so
my God.
excited?
So excited. Yeah, so excited. I mean, you guys know this is not like, I really work. I mean, like, this is not like, oh my God, I hit the list. I mean, like, it has been years of like really hard work. And, and I don't even make it look easy. So it's not like,
You do. It's glamorous.
No, but I'm so thrilled.
you're
I'm so grateful to you guys because you really like stepped up to the plate and have just been so supportive of me. You helped me so much. I'm so grateful for everything that y'all did because it was huge and big. And you took this book like it was your own and you really just did so much for it. And so now We're going to do the same for the newcomer because even though
Yeah.
our MKA is always a massive New York Times bestseller, we're going to get her way up there at the tippy top of the list.
I love it. I love it.
So
Goals.
the plan right now is everyone has to go right this minute and pre-order the newcomer because it's coming out on Tuesday. It's my favorite MKA. And I say that like every year, but it's so good.
sweet.
I was like just flipping pages. And it's like a big book. And when it came in the mail, I was like, oh, this is like
It's
take me
a
a while to
brick.
read.
It's a brick.
And I
It's
read
back
it in
there.
like, I mean, I was getting ready to leave on tour. I had no time and I read it in a day and a half. So like that's,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it
I
Well,
was
you
read
just
those
like the
too.
you just like the dedication because it's dedicated to all of you.
well, yeah. I mean,
That's
that,
why it's your favorite book. Let's be real.
No, I'll tell you why it's my favorite book because it's coming out on my birthday because my birthday is
What?
Tuesday.
I
And
didn't know
so-
that.
Yeah, you're ruining this. You're ruining this, Mary Kay, because what I'm assuming in my head, what I've conjured in my head, is that obviously you wrote this book for me because it's coming out on my birthday, and it includes Paw Patrol, which is obviously a part of my life,
Yes.
and it's set in Florida, which is a part of my life. So clearly, it's my book. And so
Yeah,
all of
it
you
is.
out there have to buy like 10 copies because then maybe you'll write another book for me, which I'm so excited about what book you're going to write for me next year.
I can't wait.
I love it.
Well, plus
So
you
it's
went to
my
a,
favorite because I had to drag Mary Kay Andrews across the finish line.
Yeah.
She did.
So I'm
She
so
did.
happy to see this book in the world. I am
Well,
so
yeah,
happy.
because she's so sick of hearing about it.
And I am not going to give any spoilers, but I will always remember two things. One, that like text chain we had going on about Paw Patrol and when it would be on and what network. And then also when we were all at Tybee and we were trying to figure out the stuffed animal situation. That's all I'll
Yes.
say. Yes.
Yes. Oh, this really.
Mhm.
You
'Cause it
know,
was
I'm dying to say what that means, but I'm not.
I
gonna-
know, but no, we're not going to say it because it's a
you
little bit
guys
of a
have to just
spoiler.
order
No.
copies for yourself and all your friends, so you can all
And
find out.
Mother's Day, don't forget Mother's Day.
Yes, it's perfect for your mom.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
all her friends.
It's a great Mother's Day story, and it's great for a book club.
Yes. You know what
That's
would
why
make
you
the
guys are
perfect
sweet.
Mother's Day gift? I feel like
All
it
of
would
our
be
books.
Surviving
All of
Savannah
them.
and the Newcomer and Under the Southern Sky. I mean,
I just
and
and
the
the
Summer of
Forest
Lost
of Vanishing
Found.
Stars. I think just
Off
the
the top of my
Oxford
head.
Exchange, the whole book, the whole box, just
Yeah,
a free
send it to her.
subscription for your mom.
Yeah, and we're doing in-person events. So since we're just blowing it out here and doing blatant self-promotion for Brazen
Brazen
self-promotion for Brazen Hussies,
Yes,
I'm gonna be in Savannah next Monday night. That'll be my first big
Neat.
in-person
Great.
with Miss Patty Callahan in the scene of the crime in Savannah, downtown Savannah,
Oh,
with
no,
E
I wanna
Shavers.
come, you guys.
Well,
At
come
the
on.
DeSoto. We're going to be at the DeSoto.
At the DeSoto. Come on down.
All right, I might. It's gonna
Come
be
on.
sad if I miss y'all.
You can stay at Eptide. We've got Eptide for the whole week.
It's a little far, but
Ooh.
okay.
Will
Go ahead.
Will can drive you.
Yeah, I mean that week he took off of work. He can take another week off to drive me on your tour, right?
What do his patients' teeth care?
Right,
What do
they're
they
fine.
care?
They're
I mean,
fine.
You guys, I've got to get off because I've had no food and I've
Okay.
drunk by myself half a bottle. I think this is this the champagne you sent me, Kristen?
It might be. It might
I
be.
think it is. I've been
For your
hoarding
birthday.
champagne.
Well, I just like that I like the solidarity.
Christy,
Okay, you
We're-
guys are awesome.
Christy, I sent you champagne too, and I think it didn't get there because I think I sent it when you were out and they tried. Anyways, you should have champagne for me, and it's not there. And I'm
Little
very-
Will drank it. It's
Good
okay.
news is
Probably
I
Little
can
Will
drink
did.
it tomorrow.
Yes, exactly.
This is the buzz that does not quit, my darling.
That's right.
Okay,
Here's
you
what
go
I say.
celebrate with your family.
Love y'all.
Okay, we're gearing
much.
up for your release
We're
next
ready.
week.
Thank you.
And
We
let's
are
go.
ready. We are
Love you
ready.
all. Love
In
you
it
all.
to
Bye,
win.
y'all.
Love y'all.
Congratulations,
Cheers.
Christy.
Thank
Wait,
you.
wait, wait.
You're my
Good
family.
night.
Love y'all.
Love
Cheers
ya.
to everyone.
Cheers.